Hey, Foot Clan, there are so many, I would say thousands of people out there tweeting about their hashtag Foot Clan titles. You got to go to fantasychamps.com and commemorate your victory with a championship ring, with a championship belt, with a championship trophy. And while you're at it, just get a loser trophy for whoever you took down. Fantasychamps.com. You can save 10% with the promo code BALLERS.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the Playdraft Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Let's get this show on the road. Yet another day in the life of the fantasy football player. And we are here to be your guides, to be your navigator as you captain your ship on the stormy Week 17 seas.
That just makes me think of Flight of the Navigator. Wow. All right. Classic Disney movie in the 80s. You guys missed out.
Yeah, that was crickets over here.
Yeah, I was born.
Don't worry.
I was born there in the 80s.
The people know. I do not leak Navigator. You leak.
Okie
Okay.
dokie, leaky navigator.
Yeah, we are in on the joke.
Ha-ha, it's a funny one.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Man, I guess champions just don't get those references, right, Jay?
No, I mean, we're above it. It's like, oh, I see those navigators way down there.
Was that joke verified?
Oh,
No?
Oh, man,
He's just
this-
walking out the door.
Mike
All
is
right.
gone.
Welcome to
I
the
like
show.
it. Like, we don't know things. Let's make fun of the guy who knows things.
Yeah. Oh, Twitter will
That
get your
was my
back.
voice.
They always do.
They do. Everybody loves you, Mike. Except for those that want you to
guys
shave your
don't know
beard
things.
for no reason. Brooks, how are you doing this fine morning?
Great. We're off to a great start.
Good. Good. Yeah, we are off to a great start. Welcome into the show. We've got a great one. The fantasy forecast for Week 17. Starts of the week, boom, boom, kicker. We also have a great quick question looking to 2018. So I think you'll be intrigued by the question and the answers this morning. Very excited to get going. We're getting more and more information about which players are likely to play in Week 17.
It just keeps getting worse.
I was telling this to Jason yesterday, even though the majority, I mean, by definition, the majority of leagues are over. Even though that's the case, these rankings that we have this week, which are up on the website now, they're maybe the most trepidatious and difficult to, you got to micro change them because of the amount of players being said, oh, we're going to play part of the game, or we might play part of the game, or we might play none of the game, or now reports this morning that the Saints might be in better shape to lose and get the 4 seed than they'd be to win and take the 3 seed. So we'll get into all of that. But it's going to be an exciting week for many of you. I know that. We'll try to help you come away with that Foot Clan title without Todd Gurley. That's the goal this week. Win it without Todd Gurley. Quick question of the day. Brooks threw this one in there. Comes off of Twitter. It says, Cooper Hood asks, early look ahead to 2018. Which player will consistently be overdrafted because of their performance this year? So who's your early overdrafted candidate? A player that's going to go too high in too many leagues just because they had a big year. Which, I mean, maybe you look at last year and you say, who might that have been? That might have been Dak Prescott.
Might have been Matt Ryan.
Sure.
Yep.
A guy that I tried to say don't draft this guy over and over, and he is actually the reason I bring that up is because the guy that I am going to be doing this on next year is very similar to me to Matt Ryan from the year before, same position. It's actually Carson Wentz, despite the injury, or actually even especially because of the injury. Carson Wentz's touchdown rate was incredible, otherworldly. It put half of Aaron Rodgers' seasons to shame. So if he was healthy and he won the MVP coming into next year, I would be saying, be careful. Be careful with Carson Wentz. He's probably going to be overdrafted. He's going to be drafted as a top 5 quarterback, go too high. And we don't like drafting quarterbacks early regardless. But now you have a guy who was on pace for 359 rushing yards, which is basically what Cam Newton did last year, who's coming off of a late season ACL injury. I'm just worried that coming into next year, I think Carson Wentz will absolutely be drafted as a top 5 quarterback based on what he did this year. I think that is a tragic mistake I will not be making, and that is not to say that I think Carson Wentz is a bad quarterback. Long term, I absolutely love Carson Wentz, but I do think he'll have some time next year to come back to form. And if you look at, just look at the lay of the land of all these hot young quarterbacks, Winston and Mariota and Dak Prescott, and they're all kind of going into that. Oh, it's not just as easy as as it seemed like it was going to be. So that's my I guess you could call it an early season pump the brakes on Carson Wentz.
And I won't argue with you too much. I think I'm going to let time dictate my opinion on that a little bit more.
I'm just going to throw this out for the people who were saying, Matt Ryan's touchdown percentage for throws was you cannot carry that over to next year. Last year, Matt Ryan was at 7.1%. So 7.1% of his throws were a touchdown. Carson Wentz this season, 7.5. I mean, that's Aaron Rodgers is generally speaking in the high fives. Yes, Aaron Rodgers he has his own outlier seasons of 1 of 9, which was ridiculous, and a couple over 7, but for the most part, Aaron Rodgers is in those mid-6s, high 5s. So
and he's Aaron Rodgers.
Right, yeah.
The price is probably going to, even if I disagree with some of the narrative, the price is probably going to be too high, which means I agree. So, that's what overdrafted means.
Right.
So, fundamentally, that makes sense. I don't think that, maybe next year you lose some of that rushing yardage. You're in Andrew Luck range when you're talking 300 yards rushing. I mean, that's about what a rushing non-Cam Newton does. Mike, who's your overdrafted candidate for next year?
My candidate is Devin S. Scrumptious. He is the wide receiver 2 on the season. I'm sorry, Merrick. I've got to.
So we're not playing that a lot next year, is what you're saying?
What I'm saying is that I think he will be overdrafted, as he is the wide receiver 20 on the season.
Like Kelvin used to be?
But here's the problem. You can go – here's his 2-year splits in games with and without Greg Olsen. He in the full 2 years with Greg Olsen in the games, he averages under 7 PPR points a game. Without him, over 14. And if you take a look at just this year, it does move up to –
which is the only year that should be relevant.
Yeah, but I'm just saying the splits it's 9. So he's at 9 points compared to over 14. So there's a big gap. We don't know if Devin Funchess can thrive in that offense for fantasy purposes when Greg Olsen's healthy, another year of Christian McCaffrey.
I don't think Devin Funchess is a 1. I don't think he's a legit NFL 1. Fair. So I think they bring somebody else in, and that maybe that solves the overdrafted problem. But I agree with the narrative.
Yeah, so moving into next year, if they don't bring someone in, I think that Devin Funchess will be overdrafted.
The name that popped into all of our heads, and we've been talking about it a little bit lately, is unfortunately Alvin Kamara. I think Alvin Kamara is going to go too darn high. Now, he's a great player, but when you look at some of look, you make the argument for Carson Wentz, there's some arguments there for Alvin Kamara.
Yes.
On the season, he's averaging 7.7 yards from scrimmage per touch. The next closest is Todd Gurley at 6.1. The range, and then you get into the 5s and the 4s just for 3rd through 5th place.
That's a monster gap.
Pretty big gap. I'm not sure he's a 7-8 touchdown on the ground year, he's at 7 already this year, 700 plus receiving yards. It's not that Alvin Kamara won't be great. I think great is still in the realm of possibility, but we're talking about draft position. We're talking about him going probably significantly higher than a guy like Mark Ingram, probably higher than some of these other, more traditional workhorse backs. Drew Brees getting older, a shared backfield. I just think that those efficiency levels, they're just tough to sustain, and I'm not sure he's not going to be a top 5 pick for me, but he might go in that range.
I think he will. I think 5 is about the threshold. I think if you set the over-under, he said 105 for Alvin Kamara, I think it would be tough to not push because he's going to go right around there. And I'm with you. He's a great player. He's going to be sensational. But that efficiency every single year would be very, very difficult to keep up.
I'll throw an honorable mention out there because I've seen people say he's going to be a buy low for them of Lamar Miller. And Lamar Miller is the RB12 on the year. I think this is the last you're ever going to see of RB1 finishing Lamar Miller.
I think he's off the team next year.
Yeah, I'm not sure he is a Texan, but we'll see.
No, I don't think he will be either. But I think his days as a fantasy, relevant RB2 might be over as well. Twitter, at the FF Ballers. Come and follow us on Twitter. Follow Mike at FF Hitman. Follow Jason at JasonFFL. I'm at Andy Holloway. TheFantasyFootballers.com is the website. The community, jointhefoot.com. We're going to be going to 2 shows a week starting in January. If you want to add an extra show, we do a bonus show just for our supporters at jointhefoot.com. So while the season may be coming to a close, it never ends here with the Fantasy Footballers. We have a lot of fun in the offseason, talk about a lot of different topics. We get into a lot of the different strategies, and if you've heard and seen the feedback from some of the Foot Clan members on jointhefoot.com or on Twitter, Facebook, they've got a lot of value off of that off-season extra episode. You get your questions answered, and you get a lot of insight onto not only how to succeed, but how to build a great league, be a great commissioner, be a great league member.
Or woman. Just be a great person.
Human?
Be a great human.
We go deep.
We go real deep.
We're doing a live stream for Foot Clan members later today.
Oh, that's right. That's
Brooks,
right.
the
5:30
judge.
Eastern.
The judge keeps people on task.
It's funny how similar the sound they make when they realize a live stream's coming this afternoon to if they saw a spider in the room. I mean, it sounded very
You
both went, oh!
Yeah, I would love it if that were true, but the sound that I make if I saw a large spider in the room would be a sound you don't want to hear, and I don't want the people to hear
The
it.
earth has never heard such a sound.
Such a high-pitched squeal as
like,
I jump up on a table.
When you take a balloon and you pinch the tip, but then you just slightly open it, that's what happens to Jason.
Yeah, that
Until all the air is out of his body?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe a cricket then. Maybe that was more of the cricket sound.
All right, there you
the
go.
cricket sound. All right, let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Hey, guys, Melvin Gordon says he'll be ready to play in Week 17 against the Raiders.
Of course he did.
Chargers coach Anthony Lynn said Brandon Oliver will get the start if Melvin Gordon is unable to play.
Yeah,
I'm taking the very simple, if he's active, start him. Win with your stud that is active in Week 17.
Yeah, I would if I'm the detractor of this week, but if Gordon is active, yes, I would play him.
Goff and Gurley, they're not going to be active, not going to play on Sunday.
Oh, Sean Mannion week.
Oh, my Sean
Jason.
Mannion. I have always loved Sean Mannion, and now I get an opportunity to see Sean Mannion.
You going to pick up a jersey? A little pristine auction Sean Mannion jersey?
You know it. Already got it.
How much are they paying you to take
Yeah, I
that?
say they pay you to pick it up.
I got a real quick point on this Gurley thing. Ryan McDowell tweeted out how Gurley currently leads all running backs in rushing yards, touchdowns, receiving touchdowns.
Pretty good.
No running back has finished the season and as the leader of all those, and now he won't be able to.
Oh.
He's going to get passed
That's
by
a shame.
Kareem Hunt probably in
Wow.
rushing yards.
Okay. Well, we'll see how much work Kareem Hunt actually gets this week
Yep.
if Pat Mahomes is starting. There may be hope for Gurley yet. All right. As I said, Pat Mahomes starting against the Broncos. So, Alex Smith is going to be on the bench. And then Davis Webb's going to be the backup for Eli Manning. So we'll see if Davis Webb gets some snaps for New York. Mike Zimmer says Sam Bradford is returning to practice next week. Could be on the active playoff roster if things go right. We'll see what happens. Jason, you brought this up yesterday. All three.
What a situation. I mean, it's unbelievable for the
We should
Minnesota
just call
Vikings.
our shot right now. Starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings to begin next year is...
Yeah, because all three, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, and Case Keenum, are all free agents. Who do you re-sign?
I think it's going to be Sam Bradford. I think Sam Bradford will be the starting quarterback to begin next year. Putting it on out there right now.
I'm going Case Keenum.
I lean Case Keenum too, and I lean that way on the
You think
back
he'll have a ring on his finger?
Super Bowl run.
There you go.
It's very possible. I don't know if the Vikings can give Sam Bradford the contract that he's going to want with the injuries that happened to Sam Bradford. I mean, they've experienced it firsthand. You cannot count on Sam Bradford to be your 16-game starter.
But does Sam Bradford – I mean, you think Bradford's going to want that and demand that kind of contract somewhere else? I mean, does he go to Arizona? Does he go to a quarterback-needy team that's willing to pay that money to take that risk? Or is he going to find that money elsewhere is my point.
But even a mid-level contract for a starter who you think, well, there's just about a 0% chance he's going to give us 16 games.
Yeah, I mean Josh McCown got
he's going to get paid, and the Vikings are going to expect to pay a quarterback. I mean, they're not going to expect to, take this foundational team and not have to pay a quarterback. I don't know. I think it's going to be really exciting and interesting, and Mike Zimmer's a heck of a coach, and they've done a lot of amazing things after losing Dalvin Cook and Bradford and
Bridgewater.
I just hope Teddy finds a starting job.
A home?
Yeah.
He still has a future.
Yeah, he might be the starting quarterback for the Vikings next year. I mean, it could play out any number of ways.
As a Cardinal fan, I just want a starting quarterback. Can I just get any of them?
Oh.
Just anyone at all.
Trust I'm just emitting into the universe.
Oh, I know what you want.
The pheromones for Kirk
Yeah,
Cousins.
the pheromones are strong right now. He's getting a whiff. He's coming.
Oh my gosh. Do you wear the new scent You Like That by Calvin Klein?
Yes. It's actually by Cousins.
Oh, okay. By Cousins?
Yes.
Okay. You like that? He's playing for some money. I'll tell you that. He's going to get paid.
I will give him money. I will pay him from my pocket, please.
There's a GoFundMe account set up in Mike's. Mike set it up for Kirk Cousins to come to Arizona. All right. Hey, before we jump into the fantasy forecast, I do want to say thanks to Pristine Auction. Look, Pristine Auction is the absolute best place to look, you get a little extra Christmas money, some Christmas cheddar. You go to pristineauction.com and you commemorate your fantasy football title with an autographed jersey, helmet, framed photo, whatever you want. They have hundreds of daily auctions, all authentic merchandise. Here's some that went yesterday for sale. An Alvin Kamara signed custom frame photo display, $121. A Steve Young signed 49er jersey, $109. Stephon Diggs Speed Blaze mini helmet, $63. A DJ, David Johnson, coming back for next year. Signed Cardinal jersey, $76.
Oh, that's
Tyreek Hill.
That's a steal.
Yeah.
$97 for an inscribed jersey. That's pretty cool. So check it out, pristineauction.com. Let them know that the Fantasy Footballer sent you.
We want to thank Quip for sponsoring today's show. Ladies and gentlemen, most of us, we're not brushing our teeth properly, and you can start brushing better today with Quip. It's a new company. They're refreshing the way that people brush their teeth, starting at just $25. Quip is an electric toothbrush that packs premium vibration and timer features into an ultra-slim design. It's half the cost of bulkier brushes. Imagine if Apple had designed a toothbrush without the Apple price tag. You can even subscribe to receive new brush heads on a dentist-recommended 3-month plan for just $5. That includes free shipping. You have to see it and brush with it yourself. I have a Quip. I've been brushing with a Quip
I really like
for
it.
months now. I love it. It's even got this the holder. You stick it right to your mirror. You're never playing the game. Where's my toothbrush? Is my toothbrush getting dirty? You're like, no, it's right there on the vanity mirror. They won a 2016 GQ Grooming Award. It's been on Oprah's 2017 New Year's O list. You make it on the O list. That's when you know you've made it. Right now,
are we on the O list?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet.
Coming soon.
You got to get to quip.com/footballers to get your first refill pack free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com. So I apologize.
I was going to say it's getquip.com.
I messed it up the first time.
Yep.
Getquip.com/footballers. Getquip.com/footballers. GETQUIP.com/footballers.
Fantasy Forecast.
Did I misspell Quip?
I don't think so.
You don't think – Brooks, can I get a ruling?
I was starting to think too, and then you beat me. Yeah, I think so. I think
there you go.
left a letter out.
QUIP.
We did it.
We got there.
Okay. Let's get into the forecast for Week 17. All these games on Sunday, right? No Thursday night, no Color Rush, no Saturday night game. The Packers, they take on the Lions, all right? Storylines from this game. Jim Caldwell could be his last game as a head coach for the Lions. He said he doesn't plan on using this last game to evaluate any younger players. a.k.a. he's going to use
Playing
it to
for his
save his
job.
job. He's going to use his usual starters as long as they're healthy. And so we're talking about Matthew Stafford. We're talking about Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, Eric Ebron, who's been on a roll. Seems like you can roll him out there.
This is the game that I keep finding myself wanting pieces in this game.
Me too.
Because when a player is playing for their coach's job, we've seen it in the past, they really go all out. The Green Bay Packers defense is not that good. They have very little to play for. And this week there is, a super cold front coming into the United States along the East Coast.
Not to Arizona, though.
No, but also not in domes.
Yes.
So I really like the fact that this game is in Detroit,
Not a
in
biodome.
a dome, with teams that have bad defenses and something to play for. It's just, it stacks up where in a Week 17 full of garbage, I want a lot of assets.
Here's the problem, though. I was reading up on this game this morning, and the expectation, at least from some of the other analysts that are previewing this game, is that Devontae Adams, Jordy Nelson, Aaron Jones are all not going to play in this game. So are you taking a shot with a Randall Cobb or with a Michael Clark? Like, where do you actually find value? Well, you say you want a bunch of pieces, but
you find
is that
value
only
in
on one side of the ball?
Mostly on one side of the ball, although my start of the week, Jamal Williams, I think is going to be a great play.
Yes.
He'll be utilized as a receiver as he was in the past with
We
Aaron
hope.
Jones out of the way. I just don't think there's – you just named it, right? You've got all these wide receivers missing. Aaron Jones is gone. They'll probably be down. I don't know how they couldn't utilize him in the receiving game. So you're right. I hope they do, but they will.
I'm with you. I love Jamal Williams, and this is Chris Raybon was tweeting about this, that the Packers defense lately, they've been shutting down wide receiver ones since Antonio Brown killed them in Week 12. Week 13, Mike Evans 2 for 33, Josh Gordon 3 for 69 and a touchdown. Not shut down, but held in check. Devin Funchess 1 for 19, Adam Thielen 2 for 24. Meanwhile, wide receiver twos are having bigger games like Corey Coleman, Demir Byrd, Stephon Diggs. They're having a big game. So
It's because they've got one great corner.
So do you have confidence that will be Golden Tate, who has been massively disappointing lately?
It's always tough to tell, like, who is the wide receiver one and who is the wide receiver two for the Lions. Is it which one is Golden Tate, which one is Marvin Jones?
Which one is Kenny Golladay?
I don't
I know he's the
Galladay's
third. I'm
one.
not saying he's the second read, but he's not. Galladay's on the outside.
Yeah, the X receiver. I would say Marvin Jones is probably the one that gets the most sleigh bells this week.
But
His own
his
defense
own
is
DB is going to cover him.
Sorry. Yes, in practice.
Got it. The practice review.
Oh, he thought he was coming with a good Christmas joke.
Yeah,
That's what you were focused on there was the Christmas tree.
I was just
That's
thinking
the problem.
Christmas.
By the
already
way,
passed.
I mean, I do agree with the Jamal Williams play. He's the best play on that team. But last week, Jamal Williams and Aaron Jones had no receptions. So
Right.
there's
was
at least
shocking.
a variable there of Brett Hundley just being not very good. The Texans take on the Colts. Hooray! Is this Chuck Pagano's final game?
Yeah, I
It
think
should
it
be.
is.
It
I
really
believe
should
it
be.
is. However, I love me some Colts.
This is a
week.
battle
I love it.
to not finish last place. The loser of this game is last place in the division.
Ooh,
Isn't that a treat? This is like in our fantasy league, our league of record. When you finish last place,
Yeah, you don't want that.
you get 12 cups of water thrown on you before the draft with the wheel of water, and then you sit there and you draft wet. So which team doesn't want to be wet today? It's probably going to be the Colts that come away on top in this one. The Texans cannot move the ball on offense. All the healthy players, we're putting them out there, right?
Yeah, I mean, even T.Y. Hilton should be primed for a good game.
Yes.
I thought about making him start of the week until I noticed somebody else had him.
Like I said, I love me some Colts. T.Y. Hilton is a Texan slayer. He likes to have massive games against the Texans, so I think he's a great play. Finally,
He faces Darius Slay as well, right?
finally, we can play T.Y. Hilton with some confidence. And baby hands Jack Doyle, you got to love the matchup.
Yeah.
The Texans, 29th against fantasy tight ends over the last 6 weeks. So
and that leads to where's the beef?
Yeah, Jacoby, where's the beef? Brissett.
Well, I know the answer to this, so I'll quiz you guys. Where's Jack Doyle on the season as tight end?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm going to go tight end
6.
I was going to say 7.
8.
All right.
But
Tight
still,
end 8. Like the start.
He's been pretty consistent.
DeAndre Hopkins playing for those stat lines.
Oh, yeah, start him.
So he's going to be out there. Lamar Miller did not get a very good share of the workload last week. I don't think he'll get one this week either. You got to see what you have in Alfred Blue for the future. And Lamar Miller is probably an RB3 at best this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you look at his stat line and Frank Gore's stat line on the year,
Yeah,
It's
someone
unbelievable.
they're
tweeted
almost
that.
identical.
It was fantastic.
Which is funny because last offseason, I came in here with my hate like I always do with Lamar Miller. And what the two players that were the lowest in terms of like yards after initial contact, like the least elusive players in the NFL,
right,
were Frank Gore and Lamar Miller last year.
Well, I mean, Frank Gore makes sense.
But one of them cost you a much higher pick. All right, the Bears. They take on the Vikings, and the Vikings, look, they are obviously in the playoffs, but they need to win over – they need to beat Chicago to lock up the first round – or I'm sorry, to lock up home field.
It might be tough.
And the bye.
Only 12-point favorites.
Well, yeah, you're right. It should be easy. No doubt about that. They're at home. The Panthers, if they lose, will allow Minnesota to lock it up as well. And we could see another final game. John Fox could be out the door.
Certainly could. And the interesting thing here for me on the Chicago side is, ladies and gentlemen, Mitch Trubisky is the quarterback 8 from weeks 14 through 16. He's been throwing more. He's been running more. This is the end of the road for that.
I like the way you put that. This is the end of the road for that.
Yeah.
He's going to get smashed.
So if
Harrison smashed.
Yeah, the people – Harrison smashed. All right. It's not bad. For those who are looking at Mitch's numbers over the past week going, maybe.
Yeah, it's the same way I feel about Kendall Wright.
Don't do it.
I pumped the brakes on Jordan Howard. I just don't see the Bears being able to do much in Minnesota for a team playing for the bye. I'm not excited. I mean, is there any Bear that – I mean, I guess
last time he faced
Jordan Howard, I would be willing to start.
Yeah, if your options are just awful.
Malcolm Brown or
I was going to say,
Howard?
do you want to
I would rather have Malcolm Brown.
If Brandon Oliver starts, Brandon Oliver or Jordan Howard?
I think I'll take Howard in both situations. I'll just go – I mean,
Okay.
2 touchdown week, even with inefficiency, and he's had some monster weeks. I'll still go with him. By the way, Trubisky was 12 for 25 for 128 yards last time he played the Vikings this year.
He was
1 touchdown, 1 interception, and an 11 QBR rating.
Howard was 19 for 76 last time he played Minnesota.
That
was at home though.
I'm going to take the talent. I'm going to take the talent of Howard over the. I mean, I've seen Brandon
Talent
Oliver.
over volume.
Yeah, volume it means multiple things with Brandon Oliver.
All right,
a scientific term as well. Latavius Murray or Jerick McKinnon in this game? If you had to pick one,
Latavius.
Murray had a ton of snaps last week.
I think that trend will continue, similar to last week where the Vikings got up, and you worry about the other team's not going to be able to necessarily keep up. This is just going to be a repeat of last week. Case Keenum was going to be my start of the week, and then it's similar to last week. It was like, okay, if he gets a touchdown or 2 early, he's pretty much not going to be used. I wouldn't even be surprised if he doesn't play the second half if they've got this game under control. Get Teddy Bridgewater in there, keep him healthy. So I think that is.
Yeah, he could not finish the game.
That's what I mean.
True. He could not
maybe
finish
not
the
second
game.
half, but fourth quarter.
Now Adam Thielen has had one good game in his past 4 outings.
Yeah, him and Rudolph stunk last week. So are you confident rolling him back out there?
Stephon Diggs, a touchdown in each of the last 2 games. Man,
I think you got to start Thielen.
I still play him though. I will still play him. I'll play Diggs as well, despite the Bears' defense. They're pretty strong against fantasy quarterbacks, ranking 8th in the last 6 weeks, 19th against wide receivers. So I'll roll out Thielen and Diggs with some confidence.
Is Kendall Wright a sneaky snart?
No. I don't want to start him against the Vikings.
I want to let people know, because he's another one of those guys that maybe you're ignoring towards the end of the year. Last 3 games, he's had 10 receptions, 7, and then 4. So, yeah, I'm with you. No.
Kendall Wright?
Yeah.
Yes. His numbers fell.
Targets, though, 11, 13, and then 6 last week. All right, the Jets take on the Patriots. Patriots are, well, they're 15.5-point favorites with a 45-point over-under.
Wow.
They need to win. They do need to win to clinch home field. Winning should not be an issue for them. They normally take care of their business in games like this. But they do need to win. And so do we expect to see Tom Brady, Deion Lewis and company, Rob Gronkowski, or, is this a game where if it's handily put to bed, you don't have a fourth quarter from these guys?
Maybe. I mean, I love the running game here. Once again, this is a game that's going to be extremely cold weather. You're talking teens. So that usually means more rushing attempts, especially if whenever you have a home team favored by this much and then you add in the cold weather, everything points towards the running game. So we got to monitor the practice reports, see if James White's active, if Gillislee's active. Burkhead was still sidelined at practice on Wednesday. Deion Lewis, obvious play. But I think Mike Gillislee, if it turns out like
practice
last week, yeah, that's why you got to monitor
for unknown reasons.
But whatever running backs are active for the Patriots, I'm fine with all of them.
All right. Deion Lewis is an incredible start this week.
Okay.
What do you do with Brandon Cooks?
Oh,
Brandon disappeared.
Cooks.
The weather got cold.
Yeah, it got frightful, as they say.
But not delightful.
No, is the opposite of delightful. In fact, Brandon Cooks, the last couple of weeks, 2 for 19, 4 for 60, did score a touchdown, 1 for 38, 2 for 17. It's been bad. It's been bad the past few weeks.
He's the wide receiver 48 over the playoff weeks.
Oh,
14 through 16.
Man, Brandon Cooks. Yuck.
Believe it or not, we're going to talk about Robbie Anderson in a little bit.
Oh.
There is a chance that Christian Hackenberg takes a few snaps. The kind of report that I saw from Bowles was, he'll be active, which is I think only the 3rd time in his career he'll be active. And he said I might put him in there, I might not. So Bryce Petty.
If Todd Bowles is playing for his job, Christian Hackenberg will not see the field.
Yeah, and he is playing for his job right now. So Bryce Petty is the starter. Bilal Powell had a big week last week. And otherwise, Austin Seferian-Jenkins hasn't been practicing. I don't know what his status is, and he's faded away.
Yes, he has.
Just like those touchdowns he caught and that didn't count. By the way, Robbie Anderson targeted 9.2 times since week 13. That's the 6th highest in the league.
Oh, yeah. The thing about Bryce Petty.
It has come down, though, with Petty.
The
targets
quality of the targets.
And the quantity.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
I mean, I looked at it this morning. The quantity of targets with Bryce Petty versus McCown has come down.
Bryce Petty is played the 3 games. Is that correct? Am I remembering that correctly? But
2, I think.
2? Well, then, 12 targets, 7 targets. I'll still take that.
Yeah. No, there's a reason he's my start of the week. The Redskins take on the Giants. Oh, boy. Ooh. This game doesn't mean much. But if you remember, last year, the Giants knocked the Redskins out of the playoffs in a fairly meaningless game for them as well.
So they're going to knock them down in the division rankings.
Keep them from being a 500 season, and it's a divisional matchup. We'll see what happens. Nothing on the line, though. And, look, the Giants, they got troubles on the defensive side of the ball. Not only are they terrible, but they're terribler, as Jason might say. Mm-hmm. No safety, Landon Collins. No Janoris Jenkins. We already know that Eli Apple's not on the field and now suspended. So, Kirk Cousins, Josh Doxson, Jamison Crowder.
The pheromones are increasing.
Samaje Perine practiced in full.
Intensifying.
That's good.
Yeah, Kirk
Cousins playing for that money.
Yeah, Cousins is playing for a contract. He is an absolutely fantastic start. Josh Doxson is somewhat intriguing as a wide receiver 3, but I love Jamison Crowder. I love him this week so very much.
I think this might be the first time we have 0 people to start on the other side of the ball. I think there's no one to start.
Yeah, even Sterling Shepard, who I really love in general, is not the greatest matchup. And
he's not practicing.
He's not practicing. And then, if he plays, who's going to be the quarterback for the second half of the game? Is it going to be Davis Webb? It's hard. This is championship
You can start
week.
no one.
Yeah, I believe you're right.
I think you can still start Wayne Gallman with the volume. He's had no fewer than 40 receiving yards the past 3 weeks. So that becomes a low-end running back 2 play for me against a team that's bad against running backs.
Yeah.
You and Gallman can hang out
together.
Stay together.
I'm not calling him a 1. I'm just saying you can play
You
him.
heard it here. Mike loves
says
Wayne Gallman.
Gallman's a 1.
Sitting in a tree. K-I-S-S-I-N-G.
You got me.
Look, Vernon Davis had disappeared. People didn't want to play him last week. He showed back up.
Nope.
This is a great matchup for Vernon Davis.
The
New York Giants, I am fine starting Vernon Davis this week.
What do you have? What do you have? 1 catch?
He'll be a low-end tight end 1. I mean, once you get past the if you've got one of those automatic starts, the Jack Doyles and above, then great. But if you are streaming week to week, I think Vernon Davis is an okay play here.
So you're telling me that VD went away, but then it flared back up?
Yeah, it's hard to get
rid
of.
He's trying to get it to flare back up, which is not something people normally do.
No.
He's working on a flare-up. I don't think it's going to happen.
I apologize for that last joke.
Yeah, it's Brooks.
Can we get a ruling, Brooks?
Do you
Brooks
feel like you want this
I'm
show
writing
to
it down right now.
So he liked
to
it.
document it. So.
You're writing the ruling down? Are you going to submit papers?
He's writing the timestamp down so he can go back and cut that one out.
That's an interesting perspective because I know what your ruling's going to be, but yet you wrote it down. So it makes your highlight show better.
It's good.
Oh!
Yes!
I was wrong.
In your faces. I apologize for nothing.
I don't want – no. All right.
Oh. All right. Moving along.
Well, we want you addicted to the show. We want you to be
what is happening
infected.
right now?
All right, the Cowboys 8-7 take on the 13-2 Eagles. Eagles are now at this point they're 2.5-point underdogs based on the fact that their starters, I guess, won't really be available. So 41-point over under. Foles. I bet you Foles. If I had to bet right now, I bet he gets a drive. I bet this is preseason week 2. So 1 or 2 drives, maybe a quarter. Last week was the struggle, right? 19 for 38, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. But they've talked about the backup, Sudfeld, getting some reps.
I feel like Foles will get a half.
Okay.
But
that's not enough.
But we're in agreement.
You need about 8 quarters with Foles right now to get the value. You're only going to get maybe 1 or 2.
In total agreement that Nick Foles will not play the entire game.
Yeah, this is a scary situation. I prefer what the Rams are doing, where they're just saying, hey, these guys are sitting. So, Malcolm Brown becomes a guy I can start. Here, it's not that. It's like, well, we're not, they're going to maybe start, play a little bit, not play. So I can't sit here and go, okay, Corey Clement is a great play because he's going to get all this work. Maybe.
I like Corey Clement. He's the one guy that I think he's not coming out the field.
Here will be the hard part is when you find out that Wendell Smallwood is in fact active.
Yeah, I mean,
that's true.
That'll screw everything up.
Yeah, it's really tough.
We have Trey Burton ranked higher than Zach Ertz right now.
Yeah, yes. I would not play Zach Ertz if I were the Eagles. So Trey Burton should be okay.
So I did find something very interesting, and I think our listeners will appreciate this. You know who's back-to-back in the fantasy rankings this year for the Eagles?
Oh, for the Eagles?
Jeffrey and Aguilar. The gap there, where they'll be drafted next year, because of what Jeffrey offers as the prototypical size red zone guy. Aguilar looks like he's already going to be a sneaky draft pick next year.
Could be. I bet he's in that 5-6 range is my
but
that's
where's
my guess.
Jeffrey?
Back of the second.
Exactly. So it was just interesting looking on the season. Obviously, last week Jeffrey got goosed him, goosed us. And
him and Crabtree just pinching each other's booties.
You're on a roll today, Mike.
It's the goose, man.
No. I got you.
I did not get it. I was very confused.
I think the definitions are wide and the range is wide for what that is. Dez Bryant, he said he's not accepting a pay cut if they came to him and talked to him about it in the end of the year.
Good for you, Dez.
Yeah, he was also sharing some frustrations with the offensive scheming, which is fair.
Yes, it's very fair.
There could be change at the offensive coordinator position for next year.
There could be.
But
Zeke.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear. What I was reading this morning, Cowboys obviously eliminated. It's unclear how many snaps the starters are actually going to get in this game. I did not read the same kind of assurances about Zeke that you might have read yesterday.
I'm just talking about Zeke's personal comments.
And which were what?
Or I haven't played for I've missed 6 weeks of the season. I'm ready to play. I'm playing. He said, well, we have nothing to play for. He said, well, I'm playing for myself.
Yeah, but if the coach pulls you out, the coach pulls you out.
Agreed. I'm not arguing that.
I have a hard time seeing if Dak and Dez, Witten, they're off the field, that Zeke's just going to be out there grinding it away, risking injury for nothing.
It's very possible.
Now, do you start him?
Yeah, I would still start Zeke because
Zeke.
a half of Zeke against what could be backup defenders could be better than a full game from Malcolm Brown.
I agree.
Any other comments from that game?
No, just that Tyron Smith, left tackle, is not expected to play, so I'm not playing Dak.
Yeah, this is. I think if you look at the last 6 or 7 minutes of this show, that's a really good encapsulation of why you should not play in Week 17. These games are garbage. You have no idea what coaches are going to do.
You get awful jokes from me.
Yeah, so maybe that's why we should play in Week 17.
All right, speaking of awful, the Browns at 0-15 take on the 12-3 Steelers.
This is it, Cleveland.
The Steelers are 11-point favorites. There is a 39-point over-under in this game. And, look, they're trying to avoid being only the second team in NFL history to not finish, or to finish 0-16. The Lions obviously were the first in 2008. And the situation for the Steelers is interesting because you have the chance that they could have a first round or have home field throughout the playoffs, but the Patriots would have to lose, Steelers would have to win, and both games kick off at the same time. So you wonder if there's going to be some scoreboard watching. You wonder if you get Big Ben and company for part of the first half. Look, they beat the Browns with a backup last year. I'm just kind of curious to see what exactly happens, whether Landry Jones is out there, whether you see more of Eli Rogers and Martavis Bryant than you do, Juju and Lev Bell. And Mike Tomlin has come out and said he's weighing the pros and cons of resting the starters in this game, or at least for part of the game. What is your expectation for fantasy owners?
Man, Tomlin has rested guys in the past. I think the smart move as a coach is to rest your players if you can, and Tomlin's a very good coach. Earlier, so Juju is my start of the week because everything lines up. Home field, home bin, perfect matchup, no Antonio Brown, but it's very, very scary, and I might need to tweet out a change because the reality is if they need the Patriots to lose, I mean, the Patriots are at home favored by 15.5 points against the Jets. It's probably not going to happen, and if they go into the half with a lead, you could just see all the Pittsburgh Steelers benched.
They just don't. We're calling the game.
All the starters.
Hey, you win.
White towel. Congrats, Browns. You got one.
I seem to remember a meaningless game for the Steelers in Week 16 against the Colts that were terrible a few years ago, where the Colts came away with a win just because it was, backups on the field for Pittsburgh. It could be the way Cleveland avoids, infamy, so to speak.
Could be.
Any other comments on this game? The Browns side of the ball, I mean, they're going to be playing everybody. They're going to be trying to avoid a loss. However, from my understanding, they've been trying to avoid a loss for 15 games.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that motivation matters.
I'll still play Josh Gordon despite last week's poor performance as the Steelers the past 6 weeks, 22nd against fantasy wide receivers. And Duke Johnson, that's a shame, and I blame myself. Duke Johnson has not gotten enough talk on this here podcast.
Did you say he's a Duke?
No.
I'm just trying to give him a little credit.
Yeah.
If we've got King Goffrey, maybe the Duke of
Johnson?
Just Sir Duke.
Sir Duke. There.
Thanks, Brooks.
Who saved us from ourselves. For running backs, he's 4th in receiving yards. I mean, he has more receiving yards than Christian McCaffrey, than Chris Thompson, who has missed most of the season now, but more than Kareem Hunt, more than Melvin Gordon. He's been a very reliable running back, especially in PPR formats.
Yeah, I'm ashamed to say I forgot about Chris Thompson and the kind of run he was on this year.
That's what I'm talking about. Chris Thompson, still 6th
Unbelievable.
in running back receiving yards.
All right, let's get into our starts.
Starts of the week.
Just a reminder, if you are saying to yourself, well, they didn't talk about that other game, that's because there's a Friday to this week, and we talk about the rest of the matchups tomorrow. And by we, I mean you two and Jay Grizz.
Oh, yeah.
My family is in the midst of a New Year's move, so I'm taking the day, and these guys are going to hold down the fort. Brooks is going to keep them in order. Yeah, it'll be a crazy.
We'll duct tape it down.
Okay.
The fort.
Yeah, you got it. Hold down, keep it.
There will be no hammer and nails when we're running the show.
There will not be any good jokes either. All right.
Agree to disagree.
Great jokes.
Captain Kirk against the worst pass defense in football without a safety.
Love it.
He's my start of the week. Needs
I love it.
Little explanation.
I'm just going to jump in here with a combo because I'm rolling.
You're going to mess us up again.
Nope. You can do whatever you guys want, but I'm going to go. I'm double stuffing with the Colts here. I love Jacoby Brissett against Houston, and I talked about T.Y. Hilton as a Texan slayer. I love both of these guys. Jacoby is a fantastic streaming option if that's what you have to do, and Hilton, dust him off, blow it off. If he's still on your bench, if you've held on to him, this is the week you can finally confidently start T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah,
I don't know if you're right.
I think you are right. I actually like it. My start of the week at quarterback is Matthew Stafford. As I said, he's playing for his coach's job. He's in a matchup against Green Bay where, against the quarterback, they're giving up plenty of points. I really like the weather in a dome, and when you look at the lay of the land, I think Stafford's going to be one of the safest quarterbacks this week that actually has a really high ceiling. So he's my start.
Why don't you go with your wide receiver so we can –
Yeah, so my wide receiver, I'm going to blow your guys' minds right now. I'm changing. It's not Juju.
Good.
I think Juju is excellent and could – in a half he could end up –
But still risky
as
business.
But risky business. No, I'm going with a guy in the same game who's going to ball out. Josh Gordon.
Oh, what? No.
Yeah,
no.
I'm Mr. Pour a little
This is
cold
not
water.
allowed.
I'm Mr. Pour a little cold water on Josh Gordon, and I will continue to when the time
Cold
is right.
water on Josh Gordon just makes his abs stand
Icy.
even more.
It's just icy abs. The reality is
He
the
says it like it's a thing. Icy abs.
The Pittsburgh Steelers give up big plays, and that is Josh Gordon's specialty. If they are resting people in the second half, if they're up, I think this is a perfect matchup.
Would you say that like a star is born with Josh Gordon?
Reborn.
Never.
A star is reborn.
That's Juju.
All right, I'm going to go with Robbie Anderson against New England, 8 targets last week. He's 61 yards from 1,000. The first time in his career he'd hit 1,000 yards. At this point, why not get these guys some of these milestones that have been a great player for your team all year? Robbie Anderson still has the talent. Bryce Petty still has the arm. And look, I think that there's a chance that you have half a game here where they're playing comeback and garbage time. So I think Robbie Anderson's a solid start. And I'll bring in my tight end start now. We'll finish up with running back. So tight end start of the week, Jack Doyle in that matchup. He's
I like it.
Facing Houston, currently the 8th tight end of the year. And I'll go with baby hands.
I'm gonna go with another game for Charles Clay at tight end. He was a little bit disappointing last week, but again, Tyrod Taylor, I had pumped the brakes going to New England. They have really shut him down. No touchdowns for Tyrod last week, but this is a revenge game for Charles Clay going back to Miami. The weather should be good. I think
they're playing for something.
Yeah,
man.
They're playing for something. Miami is really bad against tight end. This is the playoff week we want and need from Mr. Necessary Charles Clay.
We've talked about we love the pieces from the Green Bay-Detroit game, so I'm staying in the flames with Eric Ebron, who has received 26 targets over the last 3 weeks. He's finally showing up to play, so if you've got him, I'm confidently playing him again.
All right. My running back start of the week is Kenyon Drake.
Ooh.
Kenyon Drake is facing the worst rush defense in football on the season in terms of fantasy points given up. That would be Buffalo. And they just gave up 45-plus fantasy points to the running backs in New England, including Deion Lewis and company. So I think Kenyon Drake gets the workload to justify a start of the week this week. So I'm going to go forward with him. He had a disappointing 7 points last week. I think he's in the probably 15 to 20 point range this week.
No, I really like that call. I said it earlier. My running back start of the week is Jamal Williams. I absolutely think he will be involved in the passing game. I realize he wasn't last week, but that was also in like 5-degree weather against Minnesota. This is the dome game. They'll be down. It's against Detroit. They give up passing yards to the running back. So I'm guns a-blazing, full steam ahead with Jamal Williams this week.
I'm going with C.J. Anderson up against the Chiefs. He is very close to a 1,000-yard season. He's also been balling out.
He's really close. You're gonna laugh, but he's really close to a top 12 finish.
Yeah, because he's great.
He's very good.
But he don't feel like it.
No, certainly does not. He started
because the stupid freaking Broncos
double
stopped
digits.
giving him the ball.
I'll make your arguments for you. Double digits.
Please do.
In 5 of the last 6 games.
Absolutely. He has been tearing it up, including last week with 9 targets against Washington.
Yeah, that was an outlier. 7 for 45.
Yeah, I'm not expecting 9 targets again, but he can catch the ball. He is a 3-down back, a true 3-down back. And like I said, close to 1,000 yards. I think they will get him over that threshold. Also playing the Chiefs.
You know what it is?
Chiefs could be resting some defensive starters. I like Anderson this week.
One of his favorite things, from my understanding, is off-season hype, and he realized that if he didn't get it together at the end of this year, he might not have you on board for next offseason.
That's impossible.
All right, so those were our starts of the week. Without further ado, our final boom boom of the week.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Yeah. Your commissioner set up a Week 17 championship like a traitor. And there's no need to worry. Just use the Lions' Matt Prater.
Man, I almost wept.
Yeah, I know.
That's not.
You can weep for different reasons.
That's not fantasy football advice, my friends. That is art.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah.
His
album is coming out soon. All right, that is it for today's episode of the podcast. Thanks once more for tuning in. Check out draft.com/ballers to play some DFS with us now and through the playoffs. The DFS podcast is going to be going all the way through the NFL playoffs. Is that right?
That is correct. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.